Welcome to Elevate, the podcast where we dissect exceptional achievers who are consistently raising the bar personally and professionally to produce extraordinary results in investment real estate and ultimately in their lives. Now here's your host, Tyler Chesser.
Elevate Nation, welcome back. It's Tyler Chesser. I'm so thankful to have you here. I'm so thankful to be here with Aaron Willis. Aaron, how are you, my friend?
Good. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man.
Pleasure.
Well, it's always a lot of fun when we hang out, so I figured why not share that with everybody else?
Absolutely.
And it's been a lot of fun to kind of get to know you this year as well as do business with you. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I really appreciate about Aaron is that he's easy to do business with. I mean, for me, that's one of the qualifications that I like to see in working with someone else because, man, we got enough challenges, you know?
We do. We've got plenty of challenges. We got to know each other doing a great multifamily deal here in Louisville, and you guys were actually the buyer.
Yeah.
And it was good to see new guys buying properties that I've never met before. So
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it was just a lot of fun just because, you know, it was there were some challenges with that deal. But there was a ton of challenges with it, but it was just like, you know what, here they are, let's just deal with it. So I thought it was a ton of fun, and I look forward to many, many more deals together for sure. But I want to welcome Elevate Nation back because it's time to take it to another level, and we're definitely going to be doing that today. So I want to welcome you back to the show where we identify and apply how the best of the best are raising the bar personally and professionally to achieve greatness in real estate and beyond. And this is a masterclass for leaders and those looking to achieve uncommon results and purposeful outcomes through real estate investing and ultimately in their lives. And if you appreciate what we're doing, we would appreciate if you subscribe to the show, if you gave us a rating, a review. Certainly helps us reach our message to a larger audience. And that's our goal really, is to reach millions of people with this message, because real estate, along with, becoming that higher version of yourself, really can give you a life without limits. And that's kind of my mission statement. That's my company's mission statement. And, that's what we're here to do. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce Elevate Nation to Aaron Willis and dive into the conversation here. So Aaron is a real estate broker and developer, and his brokerage business, Column Realty, which we are in the headquarters of today, an absolutely beautiful headquarters here in Louisville, Kentucky, is mainly centered on multifamily assets, his brokerage business, but he's also transacted on all types of real estate assets, industrial, retail, office, single tenant, net lease, etc. And he's been recognized several times in several years by CoStar as a power broker for multifamily sales. He's extremely adept in that side of the business and many others. But on the development side, he has or have been actively involved with the development, ownership, and management of 8 self-storage facilities. So definitely want to talk about that today. Mm-hmm. And his facilities have been value add, historic, and non-historic multi-story conversions, and most recently even new construction. So obviously there's a range of experience there in real estate and the business. But just tell me a little bit about, more about Aaron behind the bio.
Sure, behind the bio.
Yeah,
well, so I'm a University of Kentucky grad, went to school, somewhat down the road, and got out of college and jumped right into commercial real estate. I worked for a prominent Class A office developer here in town called Finley Real Estate Group, and had a great, 4 years with them. Really got to know the business. The great thing about that job coming out of college is that as a broker, typically you've got to find the product, and then you got to find the tenant. Well, I had the product, so that was a blessing. All I had to do was find the tenant. So that really gave me a lot of insight into, deal flow, deal structure, obviously lease structure, and how to deal with the best of the best, the Class A tenants, the big Class A tenants. So that was wonderful. I couldn't ask for a better training ground there. And then from there, kind of ventured into lending. We had a mortgage company for several years, but at the same time, I continued to maintain my real estate license, continue to invest in real estate. Flash forward, jump back into commercial real estate really full time, and have been doing that for years and years. I've always wanted to increase my asset base, which drew me to self-storage investments. It's one of my primary focuses right now. I try to look at okay, how do you divide your time? It's probably about it's awfully close to 50-50 on brokerage and finding new deals to own, develop, manage. And touching on that, one of my first self-storage opportunities was downtown Louisville, a historic building called the Curfews Building. And so just going by it once a week, I think I was doing a deal downtown, a brokerage deal, and I would drive by that building every day, scratching my head going, what could this building be? And it was a beautiful old building. We went through the building. Several people had failed to develop it because a couple things. Number one, the floor plates were not conducive for multifamily, and there was zero parking to go with the building. So the parking also negated hospitality, any hotels. So during this time of trying to figure out what was going to happen to the building, I was in Philadelphia and drove by a building that looked almost identical to this, probably built in the early 20s, same structure, same column design in the building. Walked in it, and it was owned and managed by CubeSmart. And CubeSmart's one of the largest self-storage REITs in America. And talked to them, got the lay of the land. They converted it. How's your occupancy? Occupancy's great. So came back to Louisville, and I was like, that's it. And so we got it under contract, brought in some wonderful equity investors. And from there, it's turned into a wonderful project that Extra Space manages for us, and high occupancy, doing great. And so from there, continued to expand into self-storage. Now, prior to owning self-storage, I owned multifamily with a couple other guys here in Louisville. That was great. The reason we got out of it, well, number one, we were able to get out of it, exit at a gain. So that's number one. But number two, we were kind of at a crossroads that we either need to pick up several hundred units to get third-party management, or we need to sell. And so as a group of investors, we just decided to sell. So that's not to say I wouldn't invest in multifamily today. It's a great asset class. So, that's kind of what my ownership has consisted of is some multifamily, and now getting much more heavy into self-storage. On self-storage, we also, we love purchasing value add. In this environment, it's extremely difficult to find value add self-storage opportunities, just like it is in multifamily. Yeah. Or really any asset class.
I always laugh. I get these calls all the time. We're looking for value add X, Y, and Z. And it's like, I just heard the exact, are you guys all planning the same, pitch here? Because everybody's looking for the same thing. Like you said,
everybody's looking for the same thing. And, for anybody listening to this, who's, thinking about self-storage, or any other asset class, you just can't get disgruntled. You have to continue to dig and dig and dig and dig. With what I have invested in, we'll look at, I bet you 20 deals or more before we find one.
That's a better ratio than some. Some say 100,
right.
50, 100, and then they find one.
Well, and
You've
guess
honed your process, Brett.
Right, exactly. And I'm probably not including stuff that I'll immediately write off.
Right. Okay.
These are deals that the first thing I do is I just look at feasibility. What's the supply out there? Where's my population? Where's my household? I know exactly what the need or unmet demand is. Where you can get tripped up is if you don't have a firm grasp on future development. So that's where it gets a little bit difficult. You got to, jump in there to whatever market you're in, to, planning, design, planning, zoning, the local development office, and find out what is on the horizon. And that's the same thing for multifamily. Obviously.
That's an advanced tactic, though. I mean, that's a really key distinction, is like, you need to know what's happening today, but then also you've got to have an understanding of what's going on tomorrow, because you may miss an opportunity that may work otherwise.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we've passed on, several deals because of what's coming into the market. We've got a facility right now that we got in before everybody else, but I mean, there's, this is here in Louisville, Kentucky, out off Westport Road. It's called River City Self-Storage.
Great development.
And, there's 3 new facilities around us. So now our occupancy's fine.
Yeah.
But what we missed on is the rental rate. So
interesting.
Yeah. So everybody knew that the demand was there, but everybody beating up on each other on rental rates is what's struggled now. And some of them are national, so some of the competitors are national. So what they'll do is, come out with extraordinarily good incentives. To move in. So we match them along the way, and I would venture to say that our total cost is probably less than their total cost, so we can actually undercut them. But you're coming off your pricing 20%. So, but now that we're about a year and a half into it, we are able to start to increase the pricing back to where we had originally pro forma'd it. But it takes time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other thing, is like knowing the future development, plans can really kind of help you understand, well, all right, the competition today is great, but in the future, man, that really hurts if you can't hit the revenue that you need.
Yeah, and information is king in this business.
Yes.
I mean, as you know, if you have all the information, you're going to win.
Yeah.
By not losing.
That's what strikes me about you, is that you have the information not only from what you can access and you can acquire. I mean, really, you got to pay for a lot of information in our business as well. But it is about intuitive knowledge of information. What's happening on the streets? What is this market truly like that the feasibility study doesn't say?
Exactly.
I mean, how do you build that? Would you just say it's your time in the business, or how's that developed for you?
With what?
As far as just your intuitive knowledge. I mean,
well,
of your information advantage.
I tell you this much, is that I am extremely hands-on, which sometimes hurts you because you don't have enough time in the day to do everything.
Yeah.
Right. And so you've got to be able to delegate some tasks. But when I first got into storage, I had to know every little specific thing about the industry. And so as I've gone forward, I have been able to relinquish some of those things. But for me, the number one biggest thing was feasibility. Is it feasible to build this facility? So what I did is I read feasibility reports to understand how do they create these metrics? What are they looking at? And then so what I'm able to do, and feasibility reports are very expensive. I mean, they are upwards of $5,000. So if you're looking at 20 deals, do you want to spend $5,000 on 20 deals with one of them working?
For sure.
Right. So I figured out basically, what are they looking at? Where do I go to get the demographics to get what I need? And then so I can quickly, within 10 minutes, get a snapshot feasibility. Right.
At least a high level, like kind of to understand whether it's worth investing.
Exactly. And if it looks good, if it looks positive, then I know that at that moment the project is still a go. And then and then I'm not saying at that point we hire a feasibility expert, but we continue to go down the road of exploring whether or not it's worth it. And I got very entrenched with, some of the seminars. I'll go to the Self-Storage Association meetings, inside self-storage meetings. So it's very good to go to those, surround yourself with, industry experts, because there's always somebody who knows more than you. Even if you're the guy at the top of the pier, there's still going to be somebody above you that's going to know a little bit more, have a better understanding, who's been doing it longer. The national guys, in this business, everybody is very open to share information.
I find the same thing with multifamily for sure.
Right, right. Everybody wins by sharing the information. And I know now that's not to say there still are a ton of mom and pops in self-storage.
Yeah.
A ton. So they are a little bit more guarded. With their rental rates, because some of them don't post it online, with their occupancy. You know, in a lot of our communities that we have self-storage facilities in, there are some mom and pops. And so, you know, when I do talk to them, I try to explain the purpose of, you know, my call. It's, you know, I'm trying to get an idea of your rental rates, what your occupancy is.
Right.
You know, we can help each other.
Right.
You know, instead of competing against each other. But sometimes people just don't want to hear that. So
yeah.
And that's fine too. I respect that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you letting us look at kind of behind the curtain on this, because there's a lot that goes into really being successful as far as either an investor, you know, syndicator, developer. Certainly, I mean, there's a lot of information that you've got to gather, a lot of relationships you've got to build. And it's not a quick process. You've got to continue to invest in things, whether it's a feasibility study or, you know, whether it's, you know, a deal that maybe, you know, doesn't really hit your metrics. I mean, that's also an information you know, that you can utilize in a future opportunity. So I want to switch gears just slightly, because I'm curious to know, like, as somebody like yourself who's always kind of dedicated towards, you know, acquiring that information advantage, acquiring, you know, opportunities that, you know, give you an uncommon life, right? Like, you're not just living like that average kind of like, you know, plug it in and at the end of the day, we go home and, you know, next day it's the same kind of thing. I mean, you're stepping out on a limb on a lot of these things.
Right. Sure.
So was there a moment in your life when you kind of said, you know what, I'm not going to live that average life. I'm going to, you know, push through it and create something that's, you know, great, extraordinary?
Well, you know, I mean, I guess it's just an accumulation of everything.
Yeah.
You know, I always knew, and you know, there were times where, you know, I was an employee.
Right.
And I could not stand it. You know, I just, I think you're either hardwired to, you know, work for quote unquote the man, or you want to be the man.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying be the man is a, you know, like a conceited thing.
Right.
But, you know, I guess I just took it upon myself that, look, you know, I got one shot at this life, and, you know, and I got to make the most of it. And I just didn't think that, you know, being an employee was going to be the correct path. And I'm probably not a very good employee to have.
I don't think I would be.
I you know, I would be, you know, I'm the guy who likes to, you know, go at my own pace. And sometimes that pace, it might be really early, but sometimes maybe coming in later in the day.
Right.
You know, leaving to work early.
Right.
Going late. So, anyways, but yeah, so I've always been kind of hardwired like that. And there was no dramatic event in my life. You know, I mean, it's funny because, you know, both my parents, my dad was in utility construction, so he was an employee his whole life. My mom was an RN. She was an employee her whole life. So I grew up in a very non-entrepreneurial environment.
Same here.
And, you know, I guess it is what it is. You know, you just, well, naturally in real estate, if you want to make it in real estate, you got to be able to. I mean, even guys that are agents of mine, they're not my employees. They're all independent. Yeah. So, you know, they've all got that risk tolerance. But, you know, the great thing, what drew me to real estate is the ability to, every day is different, and you could make whatever you want to make. You know, I mean, and if you're working for somebody as an employee, you have a ceiling, and you and I, we don't. Now, we also don't have a basement. We don't have a base either. So there's definitely some pluses and minuses. But if you decide, hey, I want to make $1 million this year, you could do it. With the right steps.
Absolutely.
You know, just, you know, there's always that potential, and you can't say that as an employee.
So with that said, I mean, obviously you've got to be fully committed, right?
Fully committed.
Fully committed. Not only that, but you've got to be consistent in many different directions, whether it's investing in your own information advantage, whether it's investing in relationships, having conversations. I mean, I know for sure, like even you and I mean, like we've had experiences recently
Yeah.
where it's like, man, we're spending time and we're not making money.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
exactly.
like, what's an example of something that you've done over the past, call it 12 months, that you've done that really kind of has put you in a position, you know, I guess the first thing is like you've raised the bar to a point where you're taking advantage of the opportunity of the unlimited ceiling. And what have you done?
You know, I mean, my biggest thing is what I find happening to myself, which you may experience it as well, is that you get overwhelmed. I mean, you just look at my desk. I mean, there's kind of papers everywhere, and you know,
I can relate.
And then you know, your voicemail gets filled up, your email box gets filled up. So it's just, and you're trying to figure out what's the most important thing here. And so for me, it's just trying to become more organized. Yeah. If I become more organized, if I try to take stuff off of my plate, then I can focus on what is the most important of all of these tasks. And one of the things that I did is trying to decide, okay, what's the most important thing? Is it brokerage or is it the self-storage facilities that I own? Well, I think it's clear for me, it's the facilities I own. So, so that is number one. And then number two is the brokerage. And I do, you know, have agents like the one you met. And so what I do is just try to provide all the support I can and all of the parameters and keys and everything that he needs or she needs. And, but you know, so my big thing is just really I try to finish each day with at least taking care of the crucial things that are in front of me, you know, whether or not those things make me money or just get rid of headaches. So
I understand. You know, I mean, there's like, if you look at it, there's tasks that you have to do, right? Sure. There may be low dollar tasks, but they maybe put you in a position to achieve high dollar sort of projects or whatever that may be. And you've also got to prioritize. I really like the thought of like, you got to identify, well, what's most crucial right now. Right. And then, you know, truly put that down and say like, all right, well, this is number one. This is number two. Right. It's not that you're letting things slide, but just at least having the understanding that this is going to be my highest output in this direction. Right. So for me, it's organization. The number two, one of the things that I used to do all the time that I got away from a little bit was just marketing, whether that's email marketing to existing you know, clients or future clients. It's trying to reach out and touch people that I've done business with or that I want to do business with. And then same goes for guys like you, other brokers, whether or not that's, you know, grabbing some coffee, having lunch, even if there's no itinerary to that meeting. It's just being with them. I mean, some of the best deals I've ever done is just by haphazardly running into a broker and we start talking about deals. I mean, one of the best, you know, the deals I can think about was, you know, downtown on Main Street and, you know, ran into the broker and we just started chit-chatting. Well, lo and behold, he had a deal falling apart and I had a guy looking to buy. So it's crucial to keep up lines of communication with guys in our industry. And a lot of times we need to schedule those times. Together. I mean, you and I have had just text discussions that have turned into deals. Right. It's like just even that time can be well spent if you're building the appropriate relationships, right? Absolutely. But with all that said, I mean, you're talking about organization as well as marketing, really kind of building relationships, whether it's, you know, through prospecting or just even building those kind of long-term relationships. What are some things that you've had to say no to during this process?
Oh, say no to, well, obviously deals. You know,
19 out of 20, right?
19 out of 20. There are, I've had to say no to very few, you know, listings. What's up, Jack? No. Say because most of our listings are specific to commercial, whether or not it's multifamily, retail, industrial. So I've had to say no to very few of those. There are, you know, now on a personal financial side, I do say no to several things because, you know, they're just events that are just too expensive.
Yeah.
We can get into that.
How do you like, what do you have parameters set on that kind of stuff?
It's so funny. I don't. If it feels right, I do it. If it doesn't feel right, I don't do it.
Give me an example.
All right. As an example, like in the self-storage, they have a conference, an SSA. It's a ski conference in Utah. All right. So that's $2,000.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, have I reached a point of success in that industry that I'm worthy of a $2,000 go out to a ski retreat?
Right.
No.
Right.
I don't. I'm not. I also don't like cold weather.
Right. You're not a skier, maybe. That's it. Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's to me, that's over the top and ridiculous.
Sure.
So when I do things like that, I really want to soak it all in. And I just don't. I think I'd be more nervous and concerned about wrecking on skis than I would. But it is. It's just way too expensive. So I try to keep things in perspective. I do have 2 kids, one in college and one in high school. So I try to, although I don't listen to somebody like a Dave Ramsey, because I already understand everything he's about, what he's talking about. Right. I try to be very smart because I do recognize and realize that a lot of my money I do need to push out to marketing, whether or not that's paying for marketing or marketing in terms of me meeting with people and buying dinners and lunches and all of that. So I'm very cautious of that. Anybody listening that has some success in their first 2 or 3 deals, don't let it go to your head.
Be careful.
Be careful. Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't change your lifestyle. Don't go out and get a new car. Don't buy anything.
Well, that's the natural tendency of most people. You reach more success and you say, well, let's elevate our lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And I can understand that for sure, but it can get dangerous.
Yeah, it can get dangerous. And I've lived through, arguably probably one of the worst times in real estate ever. Yeah. And so I've seen it, when Lehman Brothers failed and 2008 happened, and it was not fun. And a lot of people, lost a lot more than, they lost families and homes and, so you look at those lessons. And so with all that being said, when I do a deal, we try to go in pretty cash heavy and as light as possible on debt. But yeah, what have I walked away from and not done? It's primarily deals. It's, certain opportunities like we talked about with these, seminars. It's, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. You just got to be smart.
Yeah. So tell me about, because we're talking about like some of your habits in terms of building relationships or just, setting up meetings and just, because that's honestly what you're great at is building the relationship.
I try.
So tell me more about some other habits that are just key to who you are and have created some success for you.
Well, my big thing is, and I think you're just coming into, being married and getting ready to have a family. So, marriage is wonderful. Yeah. If you find the right person and you have children,
is your wife a listener? So
I'll get her to be a listener.
All right. Just want to make sure that she hears that. All right.
But it does ground you.
Yeah.
Because, when you're young, the natural tendency is to go. Right. And what I'm talking about is go out and, meet the folks and entertain and you don't. So what I try to do is and it's hard to be balanced. You get up, you go to work, you try to compartmentalize everything. And
it's not easy.
It is not easy. Yeah. But at the same time, like for instance, I have a great group of guy friends and we meet and we go to happy hour.
That's cool.
And but so I've got to turn off the real estate, the day job and meet with these guys. You got to keep up those social relationships. And, and I've made sure that I've kept those up. And like I said, it's not the easiest thing to do, to turn one on and one off, but it is good to have balance. Working out, Actually, I haven't worked out for a while because I had a case of tennis elbow,
Uh-oh.
which, but I don't play tennis. So anyway, but I was always pretty good about that.
Right.
I grew up playing soccer.
Okay.
I actually played at IU 1 year until I transferred. I retired and transferred. So,
okay, you hung up the cleats.
Yeah. So I was always pretty active in that regard. But it's hard,
This is a really good reminder though for me, like on balance, and I hope that this resonates with other people though, because you're pushing hard, you're doing everything you can to kind of reach the highest levels of success you want, and you're thinking big. But you do have to remember, it's the thing that really stuck out for me is like, you got to remember to maintain social relationships outside of your business in particular.
Absolutely.
Because especially in real estate, it is a very relationship-oriented business.
It is.
So you're developing relationships, but they are focused towards business and that. So I don't know. To me, that's a good reminder. It's like you still have to kind of spend time and invest your time and just attention to other people too.
Absolutely.
That doesn't relate to profit or anything.
Absolutely. And so, when I meet with my guy friends, we try not to talk about each other's business.
Yeah. But I know it comes up.
Yeah, it does come up. And actually mine probably correlates with everybody. Whereas like a buddy of mine that sells medical supplies, well, do we want to talk about that? No.
Right.
I mean, I don't, but everybody has a use for a guy that knows real estate.
For sure. Everybody wants to be a part of those deals.
Yeah, exactly. But, so I try to keep it balanced. And then, the big thing is don't get caught up with, if you haven't called somebody back, if you haven't, don't get disappointed with yourself. Just do what you can do. And just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
That's a good statement too. I read this book not too long ago called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but he actually talked about, he's like, look, if you have it's a good one. We'll put that in the show notes too. But it's, one of the things he talked about was, if you miss a day, like say you're committing to working out, whatever it is, it's like, just don't miss 2 in a row. Because then that becomes your habit, whatever it is. Or, it's like, don't beat yourself up if you haven't called somebody else, because then you just get into this negative spiral.
You do.
Otherwise, so
you do.
It's
and it's so funny because, there's like, and this goes back from my days of playing soccer, you get these OCD traits. It's like, I want to put the right shoe on first, and then the left shoe, and then I want to tie the left foot, and, and then if you win a game doing that habit, now you're stuck. So I think a lot of people will do that, and they'll say, you know what? Yeah, okay. So at the end of the day, I got to get all these phone calls made. So they're going to hurry up and make all these phone calls. But I just think that's a horrible idea, because when you do make the call, you want to be fully engaged in the call.
For sure, yeah.
Not just to make a call to hurry up, get off the line, and say, well, I checked that off the list.
Absolutely.
So
that's a totally great reminder.
Yeah. So I try to, and I've caught myself a lot of times getting on the phone or talking to people one-on-one, and the whole time I'm thinking about something else.
Yeah, same.
So you kind of got to take a deep breath and either write it down. I'm going to come back to that later, but try to be fully engaged in the person or the task at hand.
People can tell that too. If you're not present, it's like, dude, I can tell your brain is somewhere else.
You're fried.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I was going to try to do something with you, but if you don't really care about this, then that's fine.
Exactly.
So, and it compounds.
Exactly.
Start doing that. So, tell me about what's the most worthwhile, or maybe something that's been very worthwhile for you as an investment in yourself over the past year or two.
Honestly, and it's not even business related. I swear it's diet and exercise.
Okay.
Right. I mean, that's it. I mean, the cliche thing to say is, did more deals or whatever. But,
right.
But it's
but it supports you to do more deals.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I
tell me more about it. Like, what type of diet and exercise do you use?
You know what I did? So for me, I'm a big eater, right?
Yeah.
So
same here. Which we enjoy some lunches together.
Yes. And so what I ended up doing is I just got off the bread.
Okay.
All
right. Yeah.
And I just, try to trim the bread, the sugars. Now, there was a period where I was really adhering to it, but then I just kind of pulled back a little bit just to say, you know what? I'm not going to eat bread, which means try to stay away from sugars, which means, no rice, no beans, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I ate like huge quantities of salads.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or a lot of eggs for breakfast. or bacon or sausage
Yeah.
or steaks or whatever. So I was still able to satisfy my ability to large quantity. I
Right.
just wasn't, putting in all the bread and
Right.
starches and stuff
Right.
like that. So, and then of course, when you're out at happy hour, no beer. So,
Okay. All right.
And so anyways, that was big for me. And I did that, lost, from, 20, 25 pounds, and then, just continue to exercise. And so that just made me feel so much better.
Yeah.
And
these are like really easy tweaks too. That's what I like about them.
Very easy.
Yeah.
You could go overboard. I guess it's a little like keto, but I never considered it keto because keto is really drilling down to a certain amount. So I never counted. I don't like to count anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to count it. I don't want to think about it. I just want to do it.
Right. It's a behavior. It's a lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing for me.
Yeah.
And then, if we go to an event, a social event. I mean, I'm not going to be the guy there going, "Oh, where's the non-bread stuff?"
Right.
So
don't interrupt everybody else.
So I'll cheat from time to time, just to I'm not going to make anybody uncomfortable. I mean, if I go to Thanksgiving dinner, I'm not going to I'm not going to make anybody feel bad. So so that is great, and brought a lot of balance, makes you feel better,
gives you more energy run through your own feasibility study or whatever it may be.
I mean, get up earlier, sleep better.
And when you have confidence in yourself too, and you feel better, you bring yourself stronger to a meeting, to a discussion.
Absolutely.
You build a better relationship because like one of the things that I'm so fascinated with is identity, like who you believe you are, and deep down your subconscious.
Yep.
It really kind of projects onto other people.
Sure.
And if you respect yourself, you have self-confidence in the fact that, my identity is somebody who, who eats well, who exercises. And it's like this deep-seated thing that then, gets projected on other people. I think it's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely is. And it's nice to be able to fit into your clothes comfortably.
Yeah, not to mention that. Yeah, we failed to mention that, the most important part. So talk to me about, we've been talking about, all the great things, all the positive successes, but tell me about a failure. Tell me about a failure that you've experienced that has set you up for later success.
Oh, I mean, since we are dealing more with real estate, I'll dig into real estate, a little bit of real estate failure. And, this went back to, 07, 08, 09 in that era. And, and it was a deal that we had in Florida, and, we bought it out of foreclosure. We bought it with a ton of equity in the property. And then, when the markets turned, they turned hard. And
especially in Florida, right?
Especially in Florida. Yeah. And it's funny because I bought this building. I had partners, and my partners were in the real estate business. So we were all closing attorneys, appraisers, real estate broker. And none of us saw what was going to happen. Now, I had a feeling things were frothy. I think everybody did, but nobody thought it was going to be that disastrous. Right. We thought, okay, we're going to buy this house that was coming out of foreclosure. Worst case, if the market goes down 5 or 10%, we're fine.
Right.
Well, the market went down over 70%.
Holy, yeah.
So, we had a firm decision to make. I mean, do we continue to throw good money towards a horribly bad investment?
Yeah.
Or do we talk to the bank and get out of this thing? And of course, the bank at that time had their bailout, and so from the federal government, and so they were very willing to work with us to allow us to short sell the property and then not be subject to a default judgment. So we luckily got out of it, but it really just taught me to don't get caught up in what's going on in real estate. Always understand that the bad times they're there, they're hovering. We want to say things like, okay, like for instance, self-storage, it's very frothy. Valuations are very high. People are building, it seems haphazardly almost, which I question how lenders don't see that. Go back to feasibility. It's not feasible to build this facility. There's too much competition. I see that in multifamily. They're building apartments everywhere.
Yeah.
And so that obviously makes me nervous, but at the same time, we've got to continue to do our jobs.
Yeah.
Whether it's brokering or if we're in the development or ownership of apartments or storage, we've got to continue to do those things. We've just got to be a little bit more cautious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the ways I try to counteract what is ultimately going to be a pullback in real estate is going in a little bit cash heavier.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, instead of going at 80% loan to value, going at 75, going at 70, your cash on cash isn't going to be as good, but we're prepared for what ultimately is going to come at some point. So I have definitely witnessed the worst that this industry has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And and that has hurt me.
Sure.
I've passed on, I've brokered apartment deals that normally I would have maybe tried to buy and try to partner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I broker it. And I see these guys buy these apartment complexes, turn them and sell them and make millions.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm like, well, that could have been me.
Yeah.
Not that I would have made, but I would have been a part of a group.
Sure.
That could have made money.
Sure.
And so, but the experience of that 08, 09,
it's like musical chairs. I mean, when will the music stop? And if your strategy is based on, my valuation now and my potential valuation in the future, that's when you start to get yourself into some challenge, right?
Yep. And so because of that, I really try to follow everything that's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The political climate, which, nobody can figure out, but, where is that going? Where
right.
I follow the 10-year treasury on a daily basis. I follow
right.
the stock. I follow it all.
Right.
Now I don't drill down to really, I don't go crazy. I just look at it, on the periphery, just what's the summary, what's going on, and where and how is it going to fall apart? I don't think anybody knows.
No.
But for me, if I had to guess, it's an overbuilding in certain markets. I know here in Louisville, Kentucky, I mean, we're entirely overbuilt on storage, and that's all happened in the last 4 years.
Right.
I see, huge apartment complexes going up, and, where are the people coming from?
Yeah.
Because our area is not creating jobs like a lot of other areas,
right?
Like Nashville.
Well, and I do think it's interesting because, if you look at some of the statistics, at least in multifamily, the absorption has been extremely strong. But you got to imagine there's got to be some sort of dust settling and shake up across the space in some way. But
somebody's getting hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're not creating enough jobs in households to fill all those fresh new apartments. I mean, the guys that in B, C class have got to be hurting. There's somewhere there's a pullback. I just don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And most people don't.
Well, I think there's definitely a lot of wisdom in having optimistic caution, right? What you do. It's like you can't just be reckless and, man, we're just, going gangbusters and we're in the 10 and a half years in this expansion, that kind of stuff. So just be cautious and diligent, right?
Yeah. I mean, everything, feels good.
Right.
So, I mean, where I do remember in 08, and it really felt frothy. It feels certain aspects of this feel frothy, but it's I'll say this. I mean, the occupancies are high,
right?
So the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
If the apartments are really suffering, then oh no, now we got a problem,
right?
On the self-storage front. I mean, like all of our facilities are, with the exception of one that we're just doing some redevelopment to, they're all 90% range. And, and self-storage should weather recessions pretty well. You'll probably have higher, delinquencies, but, one industry I don't follow at all, and I should, is probably, residential development. I really don't know what's going on there. I don't know, we don't do any residential. to speak of. So, that's an area I probably should track a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to even mention that because everything's tied together. Whether it's residential development or even something that's not even related to real estate at all. I mean, currency. I mean, one thing I look at is, what's going on with the global currency.
Sure.
You've got different nations who are poaching the dollar and trying to say, we're not going to base our economy now around the dollar.
Right.
So, sometimes you think about, it's like, well, would I rather be heavy in cash or would I rather have equity in, an asset that generates income and perhaps insulation from, this, it's a very much more complex environment that anybody can wrap their mind around, whether you're Donald Trump or anybody in this entire world. I mean, it's more complex for even the United States government to really grasp their arms around.
Absolutely.
So you just have to make decisions. At least, this is my opinion. I feel like you just got to make decisions that work best for you. But
right. Exactly. And it's my big thing is just surround yourself with people that are very knowledgeable. I know it's very cliche to say, and if you have investors or an investment group, and get involved with people that are going to help the situation.
Sure.
And sometimes helping the situation is by having very silent investors.
Yeah, right. Please don't say anything. Yeah.
Well, just that, you don't want a guy calling you every second of the day going, what's our occupancy?
Yeah, right.
Where are we?
Right.
Where, again, at the same time, I mean, I know we've got an investor that, always brings new opportunities to us.
Sure. That's awesome.
That's a great investor.
Yeah. Having some multiple sort of, benefits of being a part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
One of the first deals I ever did, I didn't have a partner on, and I was like, man, I wish I had a partner to just strategize.
You're out there on an island by yourself.
It's like, man, not only I'd love to have some additional capital here, but I'd also love some strategy because it's not all roses, man.
It isn't. No, it's not. It's frightening. I mean, I know the first that going back to the Curfews building that I did. I mean, there was some sleepless nights.
I guarantee it.
There was some lonely days walking around in that building trying to figure out if is this going to happen.
How do you deal with stress like that? Because it's a very high stress.
It is. It is.
If you let it get to you.
I'm somewhat lucky in that I can let my mind wander. Which
we all do.
Which allows me to release a little bit of the stress. But, obviously, exercise helps. But then again, at the same time, you jump on that treadmill and all you can think about is the deal that's falling apart on you.
For sure.
So you just, talking to guys like you, is great. Whether or not they're going to tell you what you want to hear or what you don't want to hear. Just getting it off your chest. One of the things that I always have done, and it's always been okay, is like, for instance, I go back to the Curfews building. There was some time we were trying to find the equity investors. We were hitting the end of the due diligence period. We didn't have the deal together. It looked like we were going to lose a substantial amount of earnest money. And calling the owner. And just letting him know.
You're right.
Just being brutally honest. And
face the facts.
And he was the nicest guy in the world. He's a complete gentleman. And he was like, you know what? He goes, I'm going to give you all the extension you need because I can see how hard you all are working on this. And he's like, I would rather give you all the extension than to take your money and put it on the market and then wait another year while somebody's going through due diligence.
Absolutely.
So, anybody who listens that is into real estate, it's always be, I think, brutally honest with the seller.
Yeah.
If you're having some issues, just let them know.
Yeah.
As an owner and a seller of real estate, I appreciate that as well. I mean, we've sold self-storage facilities and, luckily none of the owners had issues, but we had to grant extensions for things. And it's good that the buyers are, very transparent and open. And, but dealing with stress, I mean, it's hard. I mean, you're going to have those issues and it's just talk about it. Don't bottle it up.
I think the biggest takeaway there is like just lean on other people, because you don't have to do it all, and you shouldn't.
Right.
You know, because I mean, if you bottle it up, like you said, I mean, that's when things start to really kind of collapse.
And I'll tell you one thing.
And it's about those relationships too. Because in that deal you're talking about, I mean, you had built a relationship of trust with the seller.
Sure.
Obviously, there were some practical reasons for his decision as well. But I think it does go back to what we talked about earlier. It's like, man, I'm going to sit down and have a cup of coffee with somebody. I don't have any agenda, but you know, that may come back to benefit you know, everybody a few years later.
Absolutely. And you want to protect your reputation. And you know, especially if you're doing deals in one particular area, you know, the owners, the sellers, they'll get to know you. Brokers. And if you're somebody, you know, as we know, there's a lot of retraders, and I've been one of those guys that's asked for a credit. But you don't want to hit somebody at the last moment.
No.
You want to be fair, open, honest with a good reason for that.
Right.
And so, you know, just, you know, kind of protecting your reputation out there in your particular. And the reason I say if you're in a particular area, if you do business all over the country, you're a little bit more flexible. But you want to closely guard it.
Yeah. But on that point though, I mean, even if you're across, you know, many different markets, it's still a small, you know, it's a small community in whatever asset class, or if you're in real estate in general. I mean, I don't know. I err on the side of reputation always, and do the right thing.
Even if it's not always good news you're delivering. You know, I mean, the worst thing that I
want to know the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing that I hate more than anything is, and I've done it several times, is delivering on a brokerage side, is telling a seller that my buyer has backed out.
I know. It's the worst.
And it's the worst. And, you know, you can never provide enough explanation as to why the person's backing out. And of course,
you can't beat around the bush. You just have to do it.
Right. Buyers don't have to provide any explanation.
I know.
But it's the worst. But, you know, at the end of the day, you got to treat the seller right.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you know that the buyer has backed out or is backing out, I mean, the sooner the better. Deliver the news.
Yeah. Well, and it's your opportunity in that position to really kind of show the seller that, all right, look, this has happened, and it's time for us to now deal with it. It is what it is.
Right.
We can't just, you know, deny it anymore. It's real.
Right.
Here's what we're going to do. And that's when they're like, man, you know what? I'm really glad that I hired you.
Sure.
Because otherwise I'd be on an island like myself, you know? So
right. Exactly.
So I love that. So I want to know, what's the overall driving force behind what you do?
Independence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just flat out independence.
That's awesome.
You know, I want to do, you know, kind of what I want to do, you know, and, you know, I'm not the richest guy in the world. I'm not the poorest guy in the world. You know, do I want to be? Yeah, I'd love to be the richest guy in the world.
Right.
But, you know, it's, you know, everybody has limitations.
Sure.
You know, and you've got to do what you can do. But to get everything that I want, you know, I have to be independent.
Yeah.
You know, now,
love it.
You know, and I always try to surround myself with people that, you know, are true professionals. And, you know, we're always kind of growing. I'm not you know, what we do, we don't grow hyper fast. We go at a pretty slow pace. From lessons learned in the past, in making the wrong hiring decisions. But, you know, for me, it's just all about being independent and being comfortable.
That's awesome.
You know, I don't live a, you know, over the top lifestyle. And my wife would tell you that she, you know, she's always looking to buy more. And of course I'm the one that pulls back, but, yeah. And it's just, and just having fun.
Yeah.
And enjoying what you do. You know, if you're good at it, or you're somewhat good at it, and you enjoy it, you can make money doing it, then, you know, you're good.
Yeah. Life is too short otherwise not have fun. You know, it's a good reminder. Well,
and, you know, and I you know, love the real estate business. So, you know, which is, you know, love doing, you know, like you are, I'm a deal junkie.
Oh yeah.
Love putting deals together. It's like, if you like puzzles, you'll like being a deal maker,
right.
And every one of them is totally different. No two deals are the exact same. They all underwrite differently. They all set up differently. There's 100 different ways to get investors and to split, do profit splits and this and that and the other. And
maybe more.
Yes, right? Exactly. Yeah. And so that's what, I feel keeps my mind fresh, young.
Sure.
And, now at the same time, I get very distracted. I might be at home.
Right.
And everybody knows I'm thinking about something else. Well, it's that deal and the structure and, so it's all balance, it's all balance. And,
this is,
but it's fun.
This has been a lot of fun itself. And we just have a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into what I call the rare air questionnaire, because like what we talked about here is like, we're not talking about ordinary stuff.
Sure.
We're not talking about, just plugging it in and doing the bare minimum. We're talking about, pushing the limits. But the reason why we call it the rare air questionnaire is because it's like you climb Mount Everest, there's not much oxygen up there.
Right.
And most people don't get to the point where they just keep going, right? So we're going to continue to climb that mountain and climb the next mountain that's in front of us. But I'd like to know, we've talked about some books, but I'd like to know, has there been a book that's been one of the most impactful reads that you've had?
Blink.
Blink.
Malcolm
yes.
Gladwell,
yes.
And it just resonated because it was it was like, oh my God, that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically how, in the you can size somebody up or a situation in the blink of an eye.
Yes.
And for the most part, that's dead right on.
So true.
It is.
That book really resonated with me too, because you think about it, like we always, I want some more information. Let me get some more information.
Right.
Well, and you keep getting this information, and really at the end of the day, all you had to do is listen to your gut.
I know.
As long as you have appropriate, baseline of knowledge, understanding, your gut and your infinite wisdom is going to tell you the right answer.
And of course, when we underwrite real estate deals, that's huge.
Yes.
That's a good point. There's a lot of times that I have tried to push a deal to make it work. I continue to look for better demographics or better, like what's going on. Oh, this area is growing, or it's like, but at the end of the day, it's like, no, it's not. Stop trying to make something happen.
You can make any deal work on paper.
You can.
That's a dangerous proposition.
You can.
Yeah.
And so, with what I do, that's why I love Google and Google Earth, is that, if that facility might be 2 hours away, but I can drive, quote unquote, drive the street, in Google. So, but anyways, that's kind of the most impactful, memorable book for me.
Well, and it's about decision making, right? In our life and our business is a collection of decisions that have been made.
Sure.
So that's a good one. We'll definitely put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Because I recommend that one too. Malcolm Gladwell's got another book that just came out. I haven't read it yet, but
freaky smart.
He's an awesome author.
Yeah.
Super fun to read. His
Yeah.
stuff. What's the we've talked about a lot of different things on really how you're doing this, but I'd be curious to know, outside of what we've talked about, what's the biggest way that you elevate your life on a daily basis?
Oh gosh, I want to give you something good.
Yeah, come on.
Jeez. God,
this is a really tough one. I know.
How do I elevate my life on a daily basis?
I know a few ways that you do, but I'm putting you on the spot.
All right. I'm trying to think of something that's not so cliched. How do I elevate my life on a daily basis?
It doesn't have to be anything like that crazy. It could be something small.
I just try to treat people fair. I just try to be nice. When somebody's on the phone, I try not to be curt or mean or upset, or if it's somebody that's wildly wealthier than me or wildly poorer than me or different, I try to treat everybody the exact same. As you saw, I had a picture of John. I went to a lunch yesterday.
Yep.
Sat at the same table as John Calipari. And
the man, by the way.
We're
going to get Coach Cal on the show.
Yes, that would be good.
Yeah, you need to, maybe you're friends with him now.
Well, now I am. But we, just our interaction that he and I had, which was not long at all, because you only get a second of his time.
Right.
But it was the same as if I was talking to a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Nothing different.
Yeah.
Nothing different. Nothing. And he didn't treat me that I was any underneath him. I didn't treat him as he was above me.
Right.
So just be yourself.
For sure.
I mean, you
do that
treat all people fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because you never know when it's going to come back. And I don't know or instinctively try to do that. That's just the way I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've met people that have to try.
I know.
And that's sad. I'm lucky. Maybe that was probably the way my parents brought me up.
Right.
That was one of many things that they gave me.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
That's
really good.
And I've always, because of that you'll have a broad range of friendships, broad range of business relationships. And I've seen people that, they can't do that. And that's sad. Although I know guys that are very one-sided in this business and are wildly successful as well. So,
but it's a long-term business, and I would argue that I would think that in the long run, that's how you win.
Sure.
To be fair, treat people how you would want to be treated, be nice. I mean, I don't like doing business with people who are not nice.
No.
It's just like, come on. Yes. We're all trying to win in our own ways,
Absolutely.
but you know what? We can all win together at the same time. You don't have to take advantage of somebody. You don't have to just be rude. It's just like, so that's really good. I think that answer could be the answer to the next question, but I'll ask it anyway. Okay. What's the best way that you elevate others around you on a daily basis?
Listening, just listening to them. You do the talking.
Yeah.
You tell me.
That's how I know you're a good negotiator.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It's you got to know when to keep your mouth shut.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
I mean,
that's a clue.
I've been in deals before, and it's like, I've seen people. They continue to talk, and then the whole deal changes.
Yeah. Right.
To the worst.
Right.
So that's it's just is really just listening to them. Let them talk.
That's awesome.
Let them. You tell me about you, and it's not about me.
Right.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's about us.
For sure. For sure.
You talk, I'll listen. I'll talk, you listen. Now
Yeah.
Now we've got something here. So, I mean, that's what I try to do,
Man, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down. Elevate Nation certainly appreciates you doing that. If Elevate Nation wants to stay in contact with you or reach out to you, how can they do that?
You can call me or you can email me.
All right.
Phone number 502-821-6738.
Wow.
And then my email is Aaron, AARON, @columnrealty.com.
That's awesome. And then you can also visit columnrealty.com, which is almost done, right?
Almost done.
Okay.
We are launching a new site and finishing off some pictures, some copy, and we'll be ready to go.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I definitely want to encourage you to reach out to Aaron and just follow along with what he's doing. He's doing great things. And, I look forward to many more years of friendship together. But I think the biggest thing as a reminder is just like, you've got to replay this episode. You got to listen to it again because there's so much wisdom behind what he's saying. I mean, he's gone through some challenges. He's had a lot of triumphs, but, there's a lot of things that you can do here, and take action on what he's talking about and really kind of capture those opportunities yourselves, as well as, avoid some of the challenges that are, at times inevitable, but perhaps you can, sort of learn off of some of the heartaches of someone like Aaron. So,
absolutely.
The biggest thing here also is to, repetition. I mean, you've got to be able to anchor this, this wisdom into your own life and take massive action, but also share it with somebody else, teach somebody else something you learned today. Reminder also, we'd appreciate if you gave us a rating, subscribe to the show, or review, and of course share this with a friend. So until next time, really appreciate everybody listening, and Aaron, we'll see you next time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Elevate. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to elevate your results by taking immediate action on what you learned. For more, visit tylerchesser.com.